Eric, it's time finally to go on to the letters pages.
Wow.
We're going to answer some questions from you guys. We got a ridiculous amount of Q&A stuff this time, Eric. So we're going to do as much as we can in 20 minutes, and we're going to answer as many of these things as we can get through. Here we go. Let's rapid fire it, Eric. Our first question comes from Christopher Garrett, and he says, how do you feel about the recent trend of rebooting TV shows?
Just in general?
That's what the question says. I'm just reading the questions.
I mean, the same way I feel about
like
everything else.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we do it for the same reason that we do it anywhere else, which is brand recognition. It's easier to... It seems easier for studios and networks to get people, or at least they think it is, to get people interested in something they've heard of, even if they know nothing about it.
TV does do a better job than movies in
Sure.
bringing in new ideas, new TV shows. Or even if it's adapting something like Game of Thrones, like most people didn't know what that was before. Like they made it a phenomenon. TV seems to be doing better. I haven't noticed a more noticeable uptick in TV remakes than I have at any other point.
I think more what we've been seeing lately are film franchises that we turn into TV shows.
Yeah, I don't have a strong feeling one way. I haven't noticed it as a trend. And even, like, TV is still far superior to movies in that, like we keep complaining about movies, everything's a reboot, everything's a remake. Not in TV. We're better at that in TV.
Yeah.
But actually creating new ideas.
A lot more original things, or adapting things that have never been adapted.
Yeah, yeah.
Carl Maxey, how would you make a perfect trailer? By the way, I haven't read any of these. I have no idea what I'm reading. I'm just reading these questions out loud. Yeah, because these came a few hours ago right before we started, and I was really busy today, and that was the last thing I did. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Anything can happen. It could be madness. How would you make a perfect trailer without it being too vague, like the first Venom trailer, or have everything told like BVS? Where is the line Hollywood should follow? Well, that's a depends question, right? You just look at the material that you have and make sure that you don't make a 5-minute trailer, and that I guess ideally the way I would, depending on what it is
this is real, like all or nothing. Like you can only do it like Sony with Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Sony with Venom.
Right. Yeah. Ideally, what you do is you put in enough where I can get a sense of what the premise is. Maybe a little bit of thematic character stuff, just like, oh, that guy seems really interesting. Or maybe this movie has something to say about something, but that can be dangerous because you don't want to, come right out and say exactly what the message of the film is, if it has a message, right? But the main thing is, don't cut linearly. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't cut first, second, third act. Don't go all the way through the movie. Don't do that.
Yeah. Also, if you're an action extravaganza... Which this is a lesson I don't know about a lesson. This is a thing that really bothers me when we look at superhero, specifically with superhero, big action movies, where they want to show you like the really cool stuff from the third act, and you want to watch the trailer and be like, well, there's no way they showed me the really cool stuff. So like, this is all from the first and second act. No way is this the third act.
You go in and it's like I already saw the coolest part of the whole movie. If you're doing a big monster thing, or you've got like a really cool, giant robot or like scary guy or something, save as much as you can. It's so much harder these days. To surprise people and for things not to leak or whatever, but it'd be really cool if we could do the Cloverfield thing again, where we have no idea what it looks like until we go. Yeah, that would be really nice. Yeah, it would have been. You
can only do that with an original property, though. You can't get away with doing like a Godzilla movie, like you don't know what Godzilla looks like until you see it. Well, I guess we did it with the '98 Godzilla, didn't we?
And it didn't work, but. That was because it looked bad, not because it was a bad idea necessarily to not show it to us. I might would have done it with Venom.
No, because you don't want people afraid that you're not going to get Venom.
Well, that's true. After the history
after Spider-Man
of that,
3,
you
wouldn't do that with Venom.
That's fair. I don't know. I might have shown less of it, but then that's the only thing that makes me want to go. Yeah. So yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, not with Venom. No.
Okay. All right.
Well, and then there's things where we're like...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, then there's things where I'm like, well, this is supposed to be a plot twist. Or, like, this is supposed to be a big moment for me, but it's in the trailer. And, like, sometimes I don't know what the rule what that is. When you're writing the script and when you're making the movie, Hulk and Ragnarok is a big reveal. Right? Like, yes. It's a big build-up. It's in every trailer.
But
I don't know how
sell it on that.
Yeah, and we had that with Men in Black 3, where I'm like, this script thinks I don't know that we're going to time travel.
But Doomsday is a clone with Zod blood. No excuse.
No. And then to come out and lie and be like, well, that's not everything. I'm like, okay, because that's exactly what that is, right? Where like I'm looking at that, I'm like, well, there's no way they gave me the final act of the movie.
Yeah.
This is like the end of the second act.
I'm telling you, as much as I have a disdain for that movie, first viewing sure would have liked it a lot more if I had not known that, because that is a legitimately cool surprise. They didn't do anything with it, but it's a legitimately cool surprise. Ben Thompson, what is your opinion of fan-made content using other films or TV shows, such as fan trailers or even fan films, splicing movies together to make a new story?
Vehemently against fan trailers.
Are you?
Yes.
Just of any kind?
They burned me before. On this very show.
I think he's talking a little bit more about trailers for projects that don't exist, where you use pre-existing footage, those kind of, and that's like an art form people do on YouTube.
Like that for the most part, just because when I look at it, I always see...
when I've been inclined to look at them for whatever reason. Shades at Night has made some really cool
That's
ones.
true. That's true.
But it's not my bag. It's not my thing.
No, my big thing is
these days there's so much more footage. You can do more.
Yeah. Often I see them and I'm like, and I know what that shot's from. I know what that shot. And
that's
what was fun to me.
These days, that's maybe better than it used to be, just because it's saturated. There's so much stuff. I won't necessarily know everything right away.
But I also don't like that. I don't think any of those videos do enough to let you know that's fake. And there are some where like I have to look into it to figure out that's fake.
No,
it's not even like in just the information.
But I mean,
and it shouldn't be buried in the information. It should be up front.
You're talking about a different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you're talking about fan-made trailers where they pretend like it's a movie, it's a real trailer for a movie that's coming out. But as far as movies that don't exist, well, like that's a different thing.
But not even. But no, I've seen ones where like it's for a movie that doesn't exist. And I'm like, I didn't even know this movie was coming out. Oh, it's not. It should be real clear what it is.
I don't know. I've really been duped by those.
Okay. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to... What's the other ones? It's trailers and then...
Then just using footage in fan films. I don't watch a lot of fan films.
Neither do I. Conceptually, I don't like that idea. Like, you're making a fan film, make a fan film. Unless you're intentionally... Like, if you were going to make, like, a side-cool or like pseudo-sequel to a film and you wanted to use like the last like 5 minutes or something, like I could kind of see that where it's like this is where we're picking up, but for the most part, like make your own thing.
Well, and I feel the same way about music too, where like I understand that like not everybody's able to make their own really good sounding music, but I already associate score with whatever the score was from. And that can be just the most distracting thing.
Yeah, don't use the Dark Knight soundtrack in the Batman fan film. Baby.
Back to the trailer discussion we were having earlier. Something else I meant to mention is also if you have a killer, if you have like a really good killer score, use it in the trailer. Don't use a score from some other movie.
Yeah.
Eli McCragg, after reading Multiversity by Grant Morrison, it mentioned how there were 7 unknown worlds. Would you want to read a book that is about those 7 worlds, or do you not care or don't think it's needed? I don't remember that. I need to go back to Multiversity again. It's been a while, and you haven't read that.
That sounds super uninteresting to me. Not Multiversity, but like just there's 7 worlds that we don't know. Like, okay, what could possibly be on them?
Well, but this is Morrison you're talking about. You know,
if Morrison came back and did it, I'd read it in a second.
Yeah.
If like Tomasi did it.
No, of course. No, it would have to be Morrison. But if Morrison was the one that came in
Morrison
and did
was the one that did it, absolutely.
Now, is the idea with that like we have a world that it has a multiverse and then there are other worlds. So it's not parallel Earths. If you went to those other worlds, they would look like totally different. Is that the idea?
I would assume that like there's 52 Earths and there are 7 of them. We don't know what's on them.
Okay,
that would be my assumption.
I have to look at that again.
But like everything's
I can't hardly answer that
everything's so multiversey at this point. I don't know what you could do that gets me excited after Metal. Like Metal was like, oh, that's a new cool
the Dark Multiverse.
Yeah, Multiverse. What can you show me on those worlds that's gonna feel cool and unique and special? Like Morrison could do it. Morrison would be like, this is a 3D world, and I'll be like, that's awesome. I have to wear 3D glasses to read this comic.
I need to really sink my teeth into multiversity again, and that's such a brain bender. I can't get excited immediately about more multiversity. I gotta get through what was there in the first place. I never finished it, or did I? I mean, month to month, I think I read most of it. That's not a thing that reads great month to month. I mean, it does and it doesn't, because so much of it's, you know, one-shotty, but then you also have to try to, like, keep track of things you've read already, and it's a whole thing.
It's Morrison.
Mark Gonzalez, why do people say that the best comic book movies are the ones that are movies first? Well, that is kind of a... That question doesn't make a lot of sense, because you can't be a comic book movie if you're not based on a comic book, so do you mean superhero movies?
What I think he means is that it's thinking about itself as a film, not a comic book, or not an adaptation. But all movies are best when they are movies first, and not just trying to be the book on screen. Or be
is
the
that what he's talking about?
That's what I'm getting from that question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the reason is, yeah, when you're adapting something, it needs to be, you know, actually an adaptation, and not, you know, trying to recreate exactly what was there in that original medium, because different mediums do things better or worse than
Example,
other mediums.
Killing Joke.
Sure.
Like, it's just that book, but it lacks all the subtlety and complexity of that book because it's not comic book. Like, it is all of the images that you got, but
same thing with Year One.
Yeah. No, you have to make a movie.
But then the reason I like Watchmen was because we actually adapted.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm hoping that's what he was actually talking about. Daniel Eldridge, do you think what was done to Luke in The Last Jedi could have been done right, or was it a bad idea from the ground up? That's interesting.
I mean, you can make anything work if you make it work.
Yep.
I think the idea of him being like the hiding hermit who's ashamed of something that he's done or has happened is not a bad idea.
My main issue is just we didn't actually get into enough of what happened with the temple and everything.
It feels real weak. And also, like, it, again, like that entire movie which wants to act like it's blowing your mind, doing something new, when it's not. We should have talked about, like, the pattern of this, like an Obi-Wan failed and he went into hiding, and I failed and I went into...
Yeah, that's true.
We don't talk about this as just more history repeating. No, it could totally have worked, but you had to give me something that I bought that Luke Skywalker would get to the point that he's at, and I don't.
Yeah, and it's also hard.
This is the guy who turned Darth Vader.
The last time we saw him, he was just becoming a Jedi Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get nothing in between.
And he was all good in optimism.
And I get that it's impossible to get too much in between because, you know, the man's 70, but...
Yeah. And it also seems like that happened not too long after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, it could have worked.
A lot of my issue was just, you know, lack of background, and I just didn't buy it. I mean, I didn't hate the idea on the face value. I just didn't buy it.
I wouldn't have played it as weird as they did.
Yeah,
like the drinking the blue milk and
right.
Or not blue milk, the green milk. Like I wouldn't have done all that. I would have made him be a serious character. I wouldn't have like weirdly made him like jokey and like distant.
Well, I think they were kind of worried that if they didn't do that, he would be completely unlikable.
But that made him unlikable to me.
That's what I mean. I had that too.
Yeah. Anyways, so yes, it could have worked.
Moving right along. Yeah, I mean, I think it could have. Mark Ashley, which is the comic book movie you want the most that has never gotten a live action adaptation yet? We get that a lot.
At this point, it's hard to.
I know. I have a hard time latching on to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it is more just, you know, I want real Superman. I want real things that I'm not getting real things of right now.
I want a real Thor movie. That's not even at the top of my list, right? Like that's. Just because we mentioned Ragnarok a couple of times, that's what was in my head.
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, for the longest time, I kind of wanted a big screen Tick, and now I have the best Tick show you could possibly imagine. Like,
yeah, well, I think the way that Crescent
it's weird.
Like things that we haven't gotten yet.
Right. Well, no, I know. It's just I'm having a hard. Like, my point is, everything I ever wanted, I've kind of gotten at this point.
Everything Rick Remender's ever written.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do all the Rick Remender comics.
I'm not saying there's not still probably plenty of great stuff to adapt. It's just nothing's coming to me right away.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's really late. I'm trying to think of something. The Question. Sure. That's one of my big ones.
Sure.
And Green Arrow. We never got in the film. You could do something really great. You could do something like Logan if you adapted Longbow Hunters.
I mean, what I always really wanted was a great, obviously, Death of Superman adaptation. That'll never happen now. Like a lot of the stuff I really wanted were kind of past the point of no return on.
Yeah, and we're getting a 2-part movie. For Death Superman.
Yep, which looks terrible. Saqib Tariq, how do you feel about creators trying to explain the work they've made after it's been out? I say this because of Zack Snyder getting a lot of criticism for his posts about BVS.
I mean, that's not just Zack Snyder. That's a lot of.
It's a lot, yeah.
I mean, comic book creators have this too. Where
there's a lot of people. Well, you don't understand my work, and I'm like, well, if that's the case, you didn't do your job quite right.
I don't have a problem in the context of interview or commentary, but the idea of just like randomly posting, like just randomly putting it out there, that's
also one of my big issues is trying to add something to canon and pretending like it was always there.
Which is all J.K. Rowling's done since she stopped writing Harry Potter. I don't know if you've seen all the stuff she's done.
Nah, I've heard about it.
She just keeps adding.
But we get so much of that from people, and then folks that really like something that you don't. When you complain about something, sometimes they'll come back and they'll be like, "But you didn't see this interview where the creator said this." I don't care. It's not the piece.
Yeah, it's not in it. Therefore, it doesn't count.
Piece takes on a life of its own. It's got to be there in the first place. Once it's out there and people are looking at it.
If your argument starts with, "Yeah, but in an interview, you've lost the argument."
Yeah,
there is no argument.
Yep. That's my thinking. David Crabtree, does it feel like modern TV shows and movies still haven't caught up with how prevalent social media is in our society? It still seems as if it's portrayed as sort of a fringe fad or novelty. That's interesting. I think that is sometimes the case.
Your protagonist almost never is involved with social media.
And in some ways, I think we almost have to do that sometimes so that stories can still be somewhat escapist, right? Like, if you're too involved in social media as a protagonist, you're not proactive. You're not doing anything. You're just sitting around staring at a phone.
Well, and what I was going to say is, I don't think that's caught up.
You can't be wholly realistic with that.
No. I think it's not that it's not caught up. It's that to tell stories, you can't have a character obsessed with that.
Yeah, precisely.
Like, who wants to... I mean, like, you can do... like a scene where like a superhero's on the roof checking their Facebook or something, right? Or like
we are getting to a place where we're and we use that as a narrative device a lot. That's become a great way to get exposition. But something that's really kind of scary to me is we're to a place where you almost have to have a suspension of disbelief to buy just regular conversation sometimes.
Yeah,
because the way we socialize is changing. And is very often not very cinematic. Yeah,
the people go and pick people up at bars, and like that's not as much a thing as it used to be.
Because it's not just social media;
on their phone.
It's also
they stay to themselves.
Yeah, like the way the kids these days are dating is way different from what we did. And we're not portraying that as much.
Because it's not very cinematic,
and also because you have a lot of obviously older people still writing movies that are drawing from their own personal experience. It's going to be fascinating to see what that looks like in 10-15 years.
Yeah.
Eric, we have 1 minute and 43 seconds left.
All right, make the next question a good one.
Donnie St. Pierre, where did you put Eric's Batman wind chimes?
The ones that you got me for Christmas?
Yes.
They're in my room. They're hanging out.
I mean, I know that, but he asked the question.
They're not chiming. Because I don't have a fan.
And you don't have, like, a big window.
Yeah.
Because you live in a basement.
Yeah.
Michael Keikel? Eric, will you ever make reviews again on your own channel? I'm rewatching your old stuff right now. Ha ha
ha. Maybe if I ever moved. Like, right now, it would be hard to put any kind of priority on that.
Sure.
If I moved, possibly... honestly, I'm trying to figure out a way that I can hide my channel without deleting it.
Without getting rid of everything?
Yeah, like, I mean, that goes back to when I'm 17. Like, that's cool and all, but I also still get comments on videos from 10 years ago with people correcting me about things that happened in the future from when that video was made. And, like, I know I say things in that where I'm like, I don't even think that anymore, and people are yelling at me for it.
It was 2009.
Yeah, look at the timestamp. Honestly, I kind of want to hide my channel. I want there for posterity's sake. I don't want to delete it, but I'm trying to figure out how I just hide all the videos. But yeah, possibly if I ever moved out and was on my own again. Well, when I move out.
Right.
Yeah.
Eric's gonna live with me forever.
Yeah.
He doesn't know this yet, but he's just trapped here, and that's just how it's gonna be, man.
But yeah, theoretically, maybe in the future.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for us for the Geekvolution Omnibus. Thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. Hope you had a good time, and we will see you again in 2 weeks for another one. Eric, it was lovely as always.
Yeah, we made it.
See you later, folks.